Welcome back to What She Said Sports, everybody. Yay! All right, make sure we're all systems to go over here. I guess I put myself on my own monitor and see what happens. All right, I got a good show playing for y'all. I know it's the bye week for the Browns, but it's a lot happening. Why? Because the trade deadline is approaching, and y'all, the Browns have minions. They really do, and on Pinterest, it's some pictures of some Browns minions. And because they use the minions, I don't think I could use it because it's copyrighted. But I'm letting y'all know the Browns have minions. And after Myles Garrett decided to do what's right? Be human and show frustration because why? Because the Browns clearly don't care about winning. They just want the rest of the players, including the Shedeur, just sit there while they just toss the season away. Now, I've heard all sorts of kind of excuses. And I will say this, right? There are a lot of people who claim to be Shedeur Sanders friends, closer than friends or whatever, supporters or whatever, but they're not calling for accountability. They're not calling for accountability, right? What good is it to speculate over and over and over endlessly, to speculate why it is he isn't playing when it's obvious that his head coach is holding him back, right? 1 second. I had to make some hot chocolate. And while it's true that Stefanski and what's his name? The one from Oregon, him, right? Lanning. While it's true that they have the same agent, we knew that. We knew that they were friends. We knew that Dan Lanning was on the golf course. A lot of people knew, I didn't pick up on it, but people said they felt like when Dan Lanning came to Colorado for CU's pro day, that he wasn't interested in Shedeur. He was just looking at Travis. Now, I will tell you, they had already discussed trading that pick away from Shedeur to Travis, but the Browns came to Colorado or to Boulder with the rules that that they were still going to get Shedeur, and they were also thinking of getting Shedeur and Travis. Now, that's a whole nother conversation. This is not Stefanski's team. Here's what people are finally starting to get on board and understand: that Kevin Stefanski is allowed to mishandle, mistreat, discriminate against Shedeur Sanders. That's where we all need to be. That's where we all need to be in this bye week. And if you say you are a supporter of Shedeur Sanders, or if you are auntie, or if you know him personally, you shouldn't be out here speculating why it is he's being abused. You shouldn't be out here speculating at all, because here's the thing. I said this yesterday. Dan Lanning's relationship with Stefanski, they could be cousins, they could be in-laws. It doesn't matter. It's not the catalyst for mishandling Shedeur. It's not the catalyst. Stefanski had to be given the green light to mishandle Shedeur. Stefanski had to be given the okay to, instead of drafting Shedeur, because we still have Deshaun Watson, to draft Dillion, because we're not trying to win. We just holding the seat so we could get that first round pick for 2026. It's okay if you didn't want to draft Shedeur. But what you can't do is lie and say he doesn't possess the talent to be QB1 when you were planning to draft him QB1 until you remembered you had Deshaun, which is not a valid excuse. It's not a valid excuse at all, because you had Deshaun and you still went to get Dillion. So what you're trying to say is you didn't want to pay Shedeur $40+ million because you already got Deshaun, but you left out the part that the Browns are not paying Deshaun's salary. The insurance company is. So that's actually just scapegoating Deshaun. And I'm of the opinion the Browns keep pushing this organizational malpractice, this openly brazen racist behavior towards Shedeur and towards some of the other players, including intimidation and retaliation. They're going to be paying Shedeur, whether he's a quarterback for the Browns or not, Deshaun Watson money. I'm of a big proponent that if the NFL just keep on, with what I see happening around, they're going to be paying Shedeur Deshaun Watson money. And the insurance company not going to be paying it unless they're going to set him up to get hurt. And it's just going to get worse. So while they're in the bye week in Cleveland, there's a lot of conversations because decisions are being made as to who to trade. And the Browns have talked about pretty much who they want to trade. I know they worked out Jerry Rice's son. Don't know if they're going to get him. They keep harping on the fact that the wide receivers aren't good. So that's why Dillion isn't good, because the wide receivers aren't good. And I think they actually called out Jerry Jeudy because he had 2 targets and no catches, right? I'm like, y'all didn't have Jerry Jeudy building chemistry with Dillion. Y'all had Jerry Jeudy sharing a locker with Flacco. And that was to intimidate Jeudy to stay away from Shedeur, so Jeudy wouldn't give a damn about Shedeur. But Jeudy gives a damn about winning. And every player on that team, including Dillion, knows that Shedeur is the guy to get it done. So it's not on Stefanski. Oh, yeah. He's not the ringleader. He's definitely one that's involved. He's definitely one of the main characters. But there's a ringleader that y'all letting off the hook. There's the person that owns this team allowed Stefanski to discriminate against Shedeur, allowed Stefanski to humiliate Shedeur from the moment he got there. That's Haslam. So, somebody came in the comments today and say, finally, fans are talking about what to do about the Browns because they refuse to put together a winning strategy. They would rather lose than play Shedeur. I said, demand accountability. If you say that you are a friend of Shedeur or some kind of supporter or auntie or uncle or whatever, you should be calling for accountability for the sponsors to divest in the Browns, because the Browns' behavior towards Shedeur is unethical. The fact that the Browns' behavior towards Shedeur is unethical and people are focused on Dan Lanny's relationship with Stefanski, we knew that already. And that's not a crime. It's not a crime at all. I'm not even sure if it's conflict of interest. But I do know they don't give a damn. They knew, we didn't, but they did. Instead, focus on the illegality. Focus on what you can control. Calling for the sponsors to divest, not because Dan Lanny has a relationship with Stefanski, but because of the unethical way Shedeur Sanders has been discriminated against, isolated, and humiliated. You can go somewhere with that. The conflict of interest ain't going nowhere, because who says it's a conflict of interest? Nepotism runs through the NFL. They're not even related. Nobody's surprised that Dillion is Stefanski's boy. The surprise is coming that the Browns are willing to lose and making excuses for Dillion, blaming the wide receivers and making excuses for Stefanski trying to fire Andrew Berry. They're talking about on X today that this is the first time in 6 years that Andrew Berry has not been seen in the bye week, because they tried to fire him 2 weeks ago. When it was time to fire somebody, they wanted to fire Andrew Berry. Everybody want to cover for Stefanski coming out of Cleveland. Most of the people, not everybody. It's too many people complacent up there. So the last thing people that support Shedeur should be doing is endlessly speculating on why they aren't letting him play, when you know they are holding him back intentionally. They are discriminating against him. They have been since he got there. You have enough of a pattern of a behavior to call it what it is. Discrimination. And the only reason why you don't want to say it is because you think you can't say it. Because you want to be in good with somebody. Call it what it is. And maybe something will happen. DeMaurice Smith. I'm still listening to the book Turf Wars. Yes, I'm on chapter 2. I have a life. DeMaurice Smith put right here excerpts from the book. I can't post the book, but I was listening to him today. And whenever I listen to the book, I come away with clarity, right? And DeMaurice Smith said, when they were talking about the players, he said NFL players have been conditioned to be submissive. That's what he said. So I went and looked it up so I can explain it to y'all, right? It says Smith's critique is based on several key observations from his 14-year tenure at the NFL Players Association. Now, the last one is huge. The last one is where Shedeur comes in, where all of the other players, like I said, I want to see how they treat Jeremiah Smith, primetime JJ. I want to see how they treat Bryce Underwood at Michigan, right? Bryce Underwood should be paid $12 million before he leave Michigan if he stays all 4 years. We're going to talk about that. So he talked about how in the voluntary workouts, it says Smith noticed while the off-season workouts were officially voluntary. Remember, they had the voluntary practice for the veterans, and then they had the mandatory practice for the veterans. We know this because we watched it happen with Cleveland. There was rookie minicamp. Then they had a voluntary period where you didn't have to go. And I remember Myles Garrett being in Tokyo or somewhere, and people were getting on him because he was a team leader, but he didn't come back for voluntary OTAs or whatever. I'm like, leave that man alone. I'm like, he did his time. But they were trying to coerce him and make him feel bad for exactly what DeMaurice Smith is saying, right? And understand there's millions running around on the internet that's actually doing a lot of talking for the Browns organization, whether y'all know it or not, right? And you can tell because they all keep saying the same thing. When they all keep pushing the same exact point at the same exact time, and nobody's talking about this topic, right? Nobody out here is talking about trading Myles Garrett. The team is gone, but the minions remain in the offseason to push the narrative. And we're going to talk about that. So in these voluntary OTAs, it's that coaches put pressure on players to attend. It said for many players, especially the younger ones, it was difficult to say no to team management. So here's the thing, right? You already have a contract that's not guaranteed. You got to fight for that, right? But now you got to fight for your free time. They have voluntary OTAs, but they really forcing you to submit to coming in. Look at Travis getting baptized. Look at Justin Fields admitting that he's turned his life over to God, right? Shout out to Blade, which is Tuna, who looked up the number of times that Justin Fields has been sacked. 175. And all they do is beat up on that young man. And I asked the question, is Justin Fields' journey in the NFL a cautionary tale for Shedeur? That's a valid question, right? So that's one thing. Voluntary workouts aren't really voluntary. And when you're a young player trying to come in, it's just like us trying to start a job, right? You know, we first day on the job and they asking us to do something we're not required to do, but we feel the pressure to submit. And DeMaurice Smith says it. NFL players are conditioned to submit. This is one of those opportunities and times that the owners take advantage and exploit the players. And he's not just saying black players. He's saying players, period. You barely hear from the white players, except for Kirk Cousins, because he feel like he want to be QB1. I'm like, Kirk Cousins, you're not good. I'm sorry. I blame Quavo for that. So the 17th NFL game, another way they tried to exploit the players, it said the 2020 collective bargaining agreement, the CBA, added a 17th game to the regular season. Remember, they don't have guaranteed contracts. It said a key concession that owners conditioned on reaching an early deal. It said Smith observed that most players did not want the extra game, but the league's leverage ultimately secured the deal. It said he cited this as an example of how owners frame negotiations to benefit themselves. So basically, they just want to make more money, right? They want to make more money. They just add another game. I think, what are they? Are they at 18 now? Are they at 18 to 17 games, right? So they just went ahead and pushed it through and they coerced the players or whatever, right? But the players don't have guaranteed contracts. And we read earlier why. We looked up the reasons that the NFL gave for not giving the players guaranteed contracts. It said because They have the highest rate of injuries in the league. Come to find out that's not true. The NBA does. And they have guaranteed contracts. So if the players get guaranteed contracts, the NFL loses its leverage to exploit the players. They don't lose the leverage to lose games, which should be the priority. But the priority in the NFL, unfortunately, seems to be to exploit the players to get them to do whatever it is that we want them to do. The power dynamic. It said, Smith argues that the business of the NFL is more ruthless off the field than on it. It said owners exploit weak contract protections, no guarantees. They got all these voids now. You ain't got no guarantees, but they want to void what you do have. It said, and other mechanisms to privatize wealth while socializing the cost. We pay for it. We paying for the cost. Who paying for the stadium? $600 million for a losing franchise that is inept and corrupt as hell. People in Cleveland. The average home value in Cleveland, I don't even think it's up there. The average income, it ain't up there. So they pushing the cost on the fans. They already get $110 million for the fans, but now they want $600 million to build a stadium, and you ain't won nothing. This season, you can see plainly they don't even care about winning. They got Shedeur right there. For they fans, they should be, let's just push Shedeur in so the fans, we got the new stadium. They ungrateful as hell. They ungrateful as hell. Talk about ungrateful. You ain't even won nothing. And when you have the opportunity to win, you rather discriminate against this young man to prove your point that you're going to break him before he play on your field. But it's really the fans' field, because who paying that $600 million? The fans have something called leverage that they need to start tapping into immediately. It's like the NFL Browns fans. The opiate of the masses is supposed to be church. That's what church is used for. To keep you docile so you don't complain about nothing. Not God, church, different. This is what the Browns do to their fans. So you just shut up while they run rim shot all over you, and you pay for it. At the gate, and they shiny new stadium. And they don't give a rat's butt about winning. And Shedeur being right there, they won't even put him in to try to change and save the season. Because he haven't submitted yet. And that moves on to the next thing. The biggest factor, the biggest problem in the NFL. The priority in the NFL should be putting together competitive teams so they can win games and the best two go to the Super Bowl. It's simple. It's a sports league. But that ain't what's happening. And like DeMaurice Smith said, the NFL is more ruthless off the field. Interesting, right? It said, empowered players are a threat. It said in 2025, Smith stated that the NFL owners fear a new wave of younger, more educated, and empowered players who are demanding better. Like I said, I want to see what they do to this class coming behind this one. It says he views the rise of name, image, and likeness, NIL, as the potential for a new labor showdown as a shift in the power dynamic. And that's where Shedeur comes in. What did Shedeur say? He said, if you don't want to change the culture, if you don't want to win or whatever, don't draft me. I'm telling you. They heard something else entirely. They've been having these conversations about NIL and these younger kids being a threat. So they saw Shedeur as a threat. They saw Shedeur as a threat before the combine. Because the same minions that's running around right now talking about trade Myles Garrett are the same minions that said before the combine The NFL doesn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur. And the fact that the NFL, not just the Browns, but by way of the Browns, gave Shedeur Travis's jersey number and gave Travis Shedeur's number 2 overall money was to punish him because they want him to submit. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say this, right? How the hell you going to get all of these? You can't treat everybody like you treated Shedeur. And you losing the fight against Shedeur. With this bye week, they are losing the fight against Shedeur because people are talking. Even Tony Grossi say it's time for Shedeur. I'm like, did hell freeze over? Because he a Dillion lover. For facts. Could nothing convince him that Dillion wasn't good. He done had enough. He need to put Shedeur in. What? That's huge. That's huge. And fans need to understand that they have leverage. You paying for everything. I noticed something. I noticed the NFL keeps running after Black influencers when they say Black fans don't matter. The halftime show must be for us. They say the people at home, they talking about us. Because they feel like we don't come to the games, which is false. They keep running after Black influencers, trying to get their fan base destroying. Another influencer that I like with the Indian, she went to her first Indianapolis Colts game. She the one, Smooth Jasmine. She do the little church fuse all the time. Her. You know they got Drewski. You know they got I Show Speed. They got all these players. And their players got wives. But they keep going after Black influencers trying to get the Black audience. Indianapolis pushed Anthony Richardson out the way. Didn't even consider the second and the third on the depth and went and got Daniel Jones, who failed 3 years. And in DeMaurice Smith's book, he talked about the average NFL career is 3 years, which meant Daniel Jones got twice the length of the NFL career to be good. And now they want to give him a long-term extension. The minions and the Brown on the Brown side have the audacity to try to push the narrative. This was yesterday that said, well, Dillion isn't good, so Shedeur isn't good either. Are you out of your damn mind? Because Dillion isn't good, Shedeur isn't good because Shedeur is behind Dillion. Now that's manipulation right there. So they getting chewed up. And now, because people push back against, how dare you devalue Shedeur because y'all went out of here and picked the undrafted free agent to put in front of Shedeur, and you want to use Dillion value with a 25 QBR rating to assess Shedeur. The hell with you. You're going to have a fight on your hands over that one. Because even when Tony Grossi decides, yeah, Dillion ain't him, the question Tony Grossi should be asking is, why was Kevin Stefanski allowed to go get an undrafted free agent and overpay him as a third-round quarterback and put him in front of the franchise QB that the Browns themselves were going to get? Haslam. Andrew Berry said it in a little interview I keep playing. We live by our draft board, which means Shedeur wasn't on it. So how did you get it? If he wasn't on your draft board, how did you get him? I suspect Andrew Berry not showing up might be because he pissed off because he realized they was trying to throw him under the bus about a week ago. After they lost, not this game, but the one before, they wanted to get rid of Andrew Berry. I'm like, Kevin Stefanski the one out here calling the plays. And people saying Kevin Stefanski continuously trying to give up his headset ought to be enough to fire him. But what did they just hear Haslam say? Now, Stefanski's done good work for us. That must be that off the field work. It must be the ruthless off the field work that he's doing, because no. That's why y'all need to hold Haslam accountable. Because that's who making the decisions. He just allowed Stefanski to pick the quarterback of his choice, which means he did a favor for Dan Lanning and Oregon's program to get Dillion, who went to the Manning Academy, who the Browns want to get this year. And if he's not coming out this year, they content to keep Dillion, Stefanski's boy, till next year. But guess who else they might hold on to till next year behind Dillion? You guessed it, Shedeur. How do I know this? Because they did it to Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And then they shipped him off to Philly, and Philly cut him, and he's no longer in the NFL. He made it to 3 years. What's the year threshold for them to get benefits? Is it 4? I don't think he made it back. Maybe he did, and he was a 5th round pick. I dropped a short. I put it on social media. I said they're going to try to do that to Shedeur. They're going to hold on to him to devalue him. If they let him get out here and Stefanski sets him up and he's sacked and can't do nothing, and the record in the 4 games he plays is 0-4 or 1-4 or 2-4, don't be surprised if they try to hold on to him till next year. And then in year 3, trade him to another team behind another black quarterback. Well, he'll never get an opportunity to prove himself. And because when the team want to make space for talent, they cut him and boot him out the door. Don't be surprised. You know, people wasting their time speculating, talking about why Shedeur isn't playing rather than using their collective voice to demand accountability. Whether it's these sponsors, because that's who you need to start with. You need to talk about them sponsors. And you demand that these sponsors divest for unethical behavior. And if they don't, then you let them know that you're not going to spend a dime with them. You know, Target. It's simple. When you see the NFL pushing Anthony Richardson out the way to make room for Daniel Jones, who's been here 6 years, but they don't hold that ball or anybody else in New York accountable. One, for what they did to Shedeur, how they defamed him and devalued him and lied on him. And 2, for maybe if they mismanaged Daniel Jones' career. So they pushed Daniel Jones out the way in Indianapolis and went and got a black influencer. You see how that worked? That's manipulation. I want you to come in. I'm going to pay you to come in. And I want you to tell all your followers that we invited you to the game so they can want to come to the games too. Never mind that we discriminate against your kind. Because that's what's happening. Kai Cenat, Drewski, hell, Travis Hunter. They wanted him to part ways with Shedeur. The last thing they expected was for Travis to be on that boat fishing with Coach Prime. And now, and I've said it. I say, is it just me, or after Travis got his guaranteed contract or his signing bonus, the $31 million paid in full up front rather than having to wait for it? Does it seem like they're going in on him? He can't get the ample playing time to help the team win because they ain't trying to win. Who in front of them? That's who they want to win. They want to win with Trevor as the hero. Good luck with that. Not Travis, who was fishing with Coach Prime. Because we already kicked Shiloh out. We already trying to hold Shedeur back. So I guess, we just going to hold Travis back too now. Fine. Because if you paid him his $31 million and the check is cleared, shout out to Travis Hunter. So the last section that DeMaurice Smith talks about is how they fear these young players because they're coming in rich already. Let's see how they treat them. This is why this sentence, this paragraph right here, this statement, this bullet point, this is exactly why Lenore Sellers' father should have took the $8 million for Lenore Sellers to change schools, collect $8 million before you get to the league. And if they were going to pay him $8 million for 1 year, you definitely should have took it. Because at least your son would already be wealthy before he gets to the NFL where they are going to devalue him. And they already did it in college with that damn concussion. And that's playing with his health. part of me believes the reason why God had opened the door for Shedeur to play is because he's likely going to be set up to fail. So use your collective voice and use your support for Shedeur, whether you know him or not. Call him friend. Hell, if you got his number in your phone or you DM and he responds, to demand accountability for the unethical practice implemented to devalue this young man and humiliate him and discriminate against him. Call it what it is. I don't want to hear you try to figure out why the hell he ain't playing. It don't matter. You know what's going on, but he just get there. This been happening since he got there. You knew he was uncomfortable. You knew why. You saw the microaggressions. And if they could hold Mary Cabot accountable, they could hold Stefanski accountable. Because believe me, they did. And then she got her job right on back because she know where the bodies are buried, which is why she be asking them questions. Because what they gonna do? She got leverage too, and she know how to use it. So in addition to trying to hold Shedeur back, because when you look up Myles Garrett and Shedeur being traded, they talk about Myles Garrett and how people have tried to, who have said, I think Albert Breer came out and said a trade for Myles Garrett is feasible. Now there's a trade out there, conversation that people are thinking maybe Myles Garrett goes to Atlanta and Kirk Cousins comes to the Browns. Kirk Cousins' contract would have to be quid pro quo. It's so heavy. It's so heavy, right? And he's owed $100 million guaranteed. He's gotten 50 of it. He still has to get 50. Then his salary this year, in addition to the 50, is $27.5 million. Then he gets a $10 million roster bonus. So that's 50 plus 27 plus 10. Who the hell is paying that for Kirk Cousins? His skill set is not there, but somebody got to pay him because his contract, the $100 million, was guaranteed. So he got to get it. Now, I know Myles Garrett contract was up there. And it started this year. And I know his contract is heavy. So maybe they trade one heavy contract for another one. I don't know how much Myles Garrett makes this year, but if it's 50 plus 27, which is 77 plus 10, which is 87. If he's expected to make 87 million, I can see them making a trade to get Kirk Cousins. And they crazy as hell if they send Myles Garrett to Atlanta because the defense is already good. But trying to trade Myles Garrett is retaliation, just like trying to trade Tony Brown. So the part about DeMaurice Smith talking out about the players, the younger players, demanding this, that, and the other, having power, the power dynamic, the power structure. The structure is the same, but it's changing with, you know how you have in real estate, you have a seller's market and a buyer's market? Well, the players are the buyers. And as more and more younger educated players come in, it becomes a buyer's market or a player's market. This is what the NFL doesn't want. But understand, when Shedeur said what he said, they had already decided they didn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur. 17-32. They over here, once again, comparing Cam Newton to Josh Rosen, who came in and out the league in 4 years flat. They constantly kicking on Justin Fields. I posted when they did a side-by-side comparison of Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts' numbers are good. And I think it was Dove said, it's time for a conversation. I said, it's time for a $330 million conversation and one stolen MVP. Because Jalen Hurts is better than Josh Allen. And that MVP belonged to Lamar Jackson. It's people that were upset about that. So I had to block them. No problem. See, when you say that a black quarterback with two parents is better than Josh Allen, people get upset. They okay if you say Pat Mahomes because he don't have two black parents. But they made him fight his way out the bottom of that damn division because this year is 17-32 and he's counted as a black quarterback. But when you assert that the Super Bowl winner, Jalen Hurts, is better than Josh Allen, people want to get in their feelings. Let me tell you something. Y'all can control them damn players, maybe. And that's a good maybe at this point. Because I know Stefanski don't have the locker room. And with them trying to retaliate against Myles Garrett and ship him to Siberia, which shit, Cleveland is Siberia. So Myles Garrett leaving, good for Myles. But yeah, they trying to move Myles Garrett. Look into the contract and see if it's feasible. This is coming from the same minions that said the NFL did not want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders. So they're not talking about Shedeur. They're not talking about Stefanski and how NFT is. Myles Garrett spoke out. He expressed frustration. He dared to be human. So let's send him somewhere else to punish him. Leaving Cleveland ain't no damn punishment. And if any portion of his contract is guaranteed, as long as the check clear. He's done enough for the NFL anyway. He's damn sure done enough for Cleveland. They didn't appreciate his efforts enough to put in a goddamn quarterback who could help the team win. But they want to spend all their time and effort on the bye week to ship Myles off somewhere because he dared to be human. But have Myles sat there and on the bench like it's nothing, and as long as the check clears, they would call him lazy. So that tells you they want to control the players. You can't show no type of emotion, not even. Tony Brown got kicked out because he showed concern for Shedeur. Y'all know Myles Garrett gravitated towards Shedeur. You know he was visibly frustrated. And now they want to ship him out. The only person they don't want to ship nowhere or trade is Shedeur. They want to trade Jared. They don't want to trade Jerry Jeudy. They want to trade Njoku. They want to trade Myles Garrett, but they don't want to trade Shedeur. Amongst the questions the Browns fans are asking is why did they trade Flacco? I'm like, why is Kevin Stefanski still your coach and you're not calling for him to be fired? Why are they protecting Kevin Stefanski? Because they share the same ideology. So does Haslam. So they're trying to protect the power dynamic in the NFL where Black fans don't come on social media and do all of the talking and the pushing of the narratives. So I suggest you use these accounts, regardless of what platform it's on, to speak the truth. They said Shedeur came out and said it wasn't up to him not to play. I think I heard and saw and read what Stefanski basically made the decision. And you know why that is, right? Because Stefanski thinks it's his job to whip Shedeur into submission like DeMaurice Smith was talking about. The NFL not going to let Shedeur touch their field until he's docile. That's why Shedeur came with 4 million fans. So we could see how they are biased against Black players and how they want to control and force the players, period, into submission. But Kirk Cousins can speak out and say he wants to go to a team where he has a QB1 opportunity. But Deshaun Watson, after he decides to ask for a trade when an agreement was supposedly broken by team ownership or leadership, he gets blamed for MassageGate, which also included some white players they don't want to talk about. The neighbor's married. People in Houston know that. That's why Deshaun Watson got $230 million. You can't control the fans. And you keep running out here trying to get Black content creators to bring in after you discriminate against Black players. I got news for you. Shout out to Smooth Jasmine, Drewski, I Show Speed, Kyle Sanat, and Travis Hunter. Get that bag. Destroying, get that bag. Because they're exploiting Black content creators so they can cover up the racism against Anthony Richardson. Let's see how long before Cleveland go find them a Black content creator. Hell might freeze over, but hey, if the voices get too loud, it can happen. You can see them right down there. You be like, damn, that's what she said. Yeah. Because see, the fans have leverage. And if the fans start making demands, they're going to wish it stopped. That's what Demarius Smith talked about in the book. Because he was pushing things to happen for the Players Association to the point where the NFL wanted it to stop. So they gave in. They were trying to lock the players out. But you needed leverage. And the fans, especially Shedeur Sanders supporters, not just us, because we do the talking. I'm talking about all these other people out here who just speculating and is just constantly posting and posting and posting. And if they saw Shedeur on the street, they'd be the first ones to run up to him. I probably wouldn't even do it. I don't know Shedeur. But they would be the first ones to do it. For like they mad because Cleveland does it for likes and clicks. But they doing it for likes and clicks because when it's time to show up for him, they don't. They just speculate. One thing about it, I said when Shedeur go to Cleveland, he gonna learn that what happened to him in the draft is not about his father. I think we can check that box off. Because I'm sure he knows that Dillion is Stefanski's boy. That's why I'm like, Shedeur, you don't have to engage them if they don't engage you. Just don't be rude. If they engage you, cool. If they don't, do your thing. You get frustrated, just start saying your prayers out loud. The shortest prayer in the world is the word help. Don't worry about them trying to ostracize you or make it seem like they're cool with Dillion. They want you to feel rejected. And if you've ever rejected anybody in your life, well, this could just be the lesson on what it feels like. I'm just saying. But we roll with Shedeur. He's young. He's a good kid. Nobody's perfect. He didn't do anything wrong. They bold-faced lied on him because they didn't want him to be drafted number 72. And Cleveland don't want to win with him because they don't want a black franchise QB. So Stefanski, by way of leadership and ownership, is allowed to defame, disparage, humiliate, degrade, discriminate, abuse Shedeur Sanders. Which is why fans that give a damn, regardless of who they support. Because I told you that's one of the mistakes the NFL made. Like we all siloed. Oh, I'm from Houston, so I'm gonna root for them. I grew up with the Saints, so I'm still rooting for the Saints. No, hell no, no. I root for the players. So fans like myself, we standing up for the players like Shedeur, and I stand up for Myles Garrett too. Because don't think you finna sit up here and basically retaliate against Myles Garrett like we don't know why you retaliate against Myles Garrett. For the same reason you retaliated against Tony. The way things are today, they will not be tomorrow. And what is happening this week on the bye week? A lot of conversation is being had. And fans that don't describe themselves as Brown fans that support Shedeur, 2 million fans that bought jerseys, 4 to 6 million fans that consider themselves Shedeur Sanders supporters, and decent people who don't like what they're hearing and seeing about the way Shedeur is being mistreated by Stefanski, have something to say. And it's being said. All these little narratives they're coming up with being drowned out. So that's why they went and got the national minions to talk about it's feasible to trade Myles Garrett. You should be trying to trade Kevin Stefanski. That's who you need to be trying to trade. They want to protect Stefanski and they want to basically intimidate or retaliate against anyone other than Stefanski. They don't want to hold Stefanski accountable, which lets you know why he's so bold with it. And Stefanski obviously don't believe in God or karma. Because one thing about it, you ain't gonna tell God or karma what to do. I'm pretty sure God invented karma. There are people saying that Daboll, Stefanski, they day coming. They ain't landing too. He already had a quarterback that bounced on him once. When these kids realize they don't need this league, right? This is why they put that committee in place over NIL to kind of control. Not one black person is on it. Football is a black dominant sport. Just like in NFL, there are no black owners, but there should be. I think there are black owners maybe in the ownership group. And if so, it must be one. Why isn't Magic Johnson an owner? Why isn't Jay-Z an owner? They all associated with the league, but they hit a glass ceiling too. So if Black billionaires are hitting glass ceilings in NFL and can be associated with the league or be limited partners, and they have the funds to become a billionaire, but they can't own a team that's Black dominant. What does that tell you? It tells you why there's zero offensive coordinators, why they discriminate against general managers, why they're trying to whittle away and hold off the majority of the starting quarterbacks on 32 teams, which is 17 to 32, from taking place, with Shedeur being number 17. Why it is that they're allowing Stefanski to try to buck break Shedeur and humiliate him until he submits and is docile and they can control him and his celebrity. If they keep running out here to get Black content creators and refuse to highlight and promote their Black players, they don't want us to be successful. And like Damari Smith said, that's one of their fears. Successful, rich players coming to the league. That's why they are comparing Cam Ward to Josh Rosen, because he is $48 million. It's how much he made. So they want him to take his 4 years of money and get the hell on. That people have the audacity to try to pit Cam against Shedeur by saying, if the Titans had drafted Shedeur, this would have been better. I said, if the Titans would have drafted Shedeur, it would be just like it was when they split up the team after Steve McNair took them to the Super Bowl. Or they would try to break Shedeur like they broke Vince Young. Or they would bench Shedeur like they benched Malik Willis. Or they would discriminate against and mistreat and humiliate Shedeur like they did Cam, to the point a goddamn noose popped up at that damn stadium. There will be no difference if it was Cam or Shedeur in the Browns organization or the Titans organization, because the Titans, the Browns, the Saints, and the Giants all have one damn problem. They do not want to win with a Black franchise quarterback long term. They don't want to get a Black quarterback out the first round because they can't stomach to pay a Black quarterback first round money. I'm not talking about all teams. I'm talking about the Saints. I'm talking about the Giants. I'm talking about the Browns, and I'm talking about the Titans. So no need to try to pitch Shedeur against Cam, because you would discriminate against both of them, because both of them have two Black parents. So suck an egg, because that's why they discriminate. Anytime they upset that Jalen Hurts does well, because he got two Black parents. But the only one they can have stand half the time is Pat Mahomes. We like Pat Mahomes too. And we know he Black, and I bet he does now too. Because when it comes to counting Black quarterbacks, Pat Mahomes is on the Black side. And they know that because they go by the one drop rule. They don't give a damn. They don't slice and dice. Because they do not want 17 Black starting quarterbacks. Well, guess what? Either you're going to stop drafting Black people and they're going to go start their own league and you're going to shut up and sit down somewhere, or you're going to be respectful of Black quarterbacks in this league and they athleticism, and they're going to get to 17, 18, 19, and 20. Because if you ask AI, Shedeur is supposed to be the MVP in Minnesota in about a few years. Now, how the hell he going to get over there from Cleveland? I have no idea. But Minnesota came out and said intentionally they want to get a veteran. Screw Minnesota. You bet the farm on JJ McCarthy with 0 ounce of NFL film. Don't nobody want to go there. You went and got Carson Wentz off his couch and you totally ignored your QB2 and your QB3 because you want to protect JJ McCarthy. Then keep being sorry. And that should be the consequence. And that is the consequence for any corporation that is corrupt. You lose talent to another corporation. The way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. So trying to trade Myles Garrett is retaliation, just like dismissing and terminating the contract of Tony Brown. And we know why they're trying to get rid of both of them. That's why we had to hear about Myles Garrett having 8 speeding tickets. You didn't tell me about 1 through 7 until Myles Garrett gravitated towards Shedeur. Myles Garrett wasn't just expressing frustration because he had 5 sacks and the team was losing. It's because Shedeur's right there and he's already said out loud, we're going to need you. And that's when we found out about his 8 speeding ticket. But they didn't tell us that he swerved to hit a deer. They tried to disparage him and make him seem reckless. You see how ruthless they are when you don't do what they want you to do? They want these players to come to them and ask for permission to put one foot in front of the other and to think. All they doing when you listen to the narrative all over the internet is blaming the black guy. And the moment somebody like myself points out that, yeah, we need to talk about why it is Josh Allen got $330 million because he's not good. They want him to be what Lamar Jackson is. And when that don't work, because we got too many black quarterbacks with athleticism like Lamar Jackson because their numbers keep increasing, I want to pay you $330 million. He is Lamar Jackson's MVP. Now go become a pocket passer. What they going to do with that? They're going to dumb down the league to get to the level of players like Dillion Gabriel. Undrafted free agents. And you're going to get in because you went to the Manning Passing Academy. You see? It's just a circle. It's just a circle. And when people speak up, or so people don't speak up, they send their little minions out, whether they national or whether they local, to try to flood out the internet, but that ain't working. And when they get accused of discriminating, they run out and get Charles Woodson ahead of time so they don't get accused of discriminating. Or they run to Indianapolis, go get black content creators after they discriminated against Anthony Richardson. But they have no consequences for that ball. Whether it's he was the problem, that Daniel Jones wasn't good, or he flat out lied on Shedeur Sanders. I'm like, it's in black people's DNA. Just because you bring in a black content creator don't mean we don't think you racist. In fact, we think that might be why you're doing it, because you didn't want to do it last year. You didn't want to do it year before. You're doing it because what did Damari Smith say? These young black players, or these young players, period, are coming in. And they have demands, which is why Bo Nix can scream at Sean Payton, but Russell Wilson couldn't. Shout out to Russell Wilson for speaking up. People are applauding him. And somebody asked the question, do you think that Russell Wilson would have said anything like if he was playing? I'm like, no. He has leverage now. Why? He's only on a 1-year contract, which means he out the door. And he knows this. Secondly, he not the starting quarterback. They don't want to use him. So what you going to do to me? Give me my $10 million and tell me get the hell on? Bye. That's leverage. Russell Wilson has leverage. The leverage he has is he know they trying to push him out. His mistake would be still trying to belong in a league that don't want you. They have to pay him. Myles Garrett, if his contract is guaranteed, they have to pay him. Kirk Cousins called it out. He said, they lied to me. I would have never came here if they thought this was going to happen. So essentially, they knew that they were going to draft Michael Penix Jr. But they went and got Kirk Cousins, who's white, to put in front of Michael Penix Jr. to do the same thing that they doing to Shedeur with Dillion. Which means a year from now, Dillion going to be out here demanding to be QB1 because he done been paid more money than Shedeur. Because these guys, it's entitled as hell to not be good and think that because somebody paid you $130 million to block a black player, that you good. And then Arthur Blank keep running out here giving money to HBCUs. I would too, because the reason you did it, you was trying to block Michael Penix Jr., who's black, and you didn't want this black quarterback. This is exactly what Cleveland is doing. You know, they like to do things that it's a team by team basis. Okay. Okay. It shows you why they sent Shedeur to Cleveland and not to Atlanta. Because do you think in Atlanta that they could bench Shedeur? Let's say, heaven forbid, Michael Penix Jr. stubbed his toe and couldn't play. Do you really think the head coach could have a leg to stand on, regardless of his ethnicity, to say, well, I don't know, we don't want to play Shedeur? They would burn Mercedes-Benz down. And that is the difference between the fan bases in Atlanta and in Cleveland. Black people ain't going for that. So trying to gravitate toward black content creators while you discriminate against black players, you're going to pay for that eventually. Shout out to whoever, get the bag. I ain't mad. Go ahead, go get the bag. Because they just exploiting you to bring us in while they tie our players that look like them up to a tree and whip them while we're not looking into submission. But the power structure is changing. And it's starting with the fans and the players that have guaranteed contracts or that's on their way out. Don't forget, Isaac Newsom drafted Lamar Jackson, stopped the slide because he was on his way out. The direct deposit gonna have to keep showing up. So you might as well, if you on your way out, say what you got to say. And if you over there in that Cleveland locker room and you know what they doing to Shedeur is wrong, you better say something. I don't care if you got to send up smoke signals. Y'all better protect Shedeur. And just like I said, Shedeur was going to have to find out the truth about what happened in the draft. I think that has happened. But guess what else he's finding out right now? He's finding out who his real friends are. Yeah. Because it's a lot of people out here pretending to be friend this, that, and the other, and they not. They doing the same thing the Browns were doing, exploiting for clicks. So this is the second wave of the lesson for Shedeur. It's to find out who your real friends are, because the moment let him elevate anywhere, NFL or outside NFL, it don't matter. It's going to be people wanting to gravitate towards him like they were when he was at Colorado. And now you get to say, I'm good. See, there's a time where awareness becomes a gift. And they tried to pit him against his father, but he has since then learned this don't have nothing to do with that. He learning who his employer is. Don't need to cozy up to them. They don't like you anyway. And now he's in a position, don't let them people use you, because they just gonna exploit you or discard you when they finish. So he's learning who his employee is. I know he done learned the truth about what happened in the draft, and it had nothing to do with his father. Now, I don't know if Shedeur has figured out that he was so badly disparaged in the draft because he was number 17 of 32. And there seems to be an all-out assault on 16 black quarterbacks, including a Super Bowl winner, Jalen Hurts. And if you have two black parents and you have a lot of melanin, they try to beat up on you the most. I don't know if he's learned that part yet, but maybe if he stopped by this video, he'll get that message, which means don't try to placate them. You there not because of them. You're there because of God. God opened that door. And if you're going to stay there till he closes it, then okay, that's the right thing to do. Because here's the thing. The NFL to try to kick you out so many times and it still ain't happened. So that tells me he might get to his destiny in the NFL. And that takes me to the part where I said, all these people going to want to gravitate towards him. Bro, I knew that. Because see, instead of speculating, they could have been out here doing what this podcast does. Sticking your neck out. Calling for accountability. For the rest of the bye week, that's what needs to happen. And since they're trying to drown you out, then drown them out. Because we know we got leverage. If we can cost Target $12 billion, the NFL only make $20 billion. They don't even make Target money. Use your leverage. And if they offer you the bag, go get it. But don't act like they not racist because they don't. Just go get the bag and do your job. And when the contract expires, say what you got to say. Don't be trying to convince nobody they not racist. All right. So one of the football games I want to talk about right fast. Thursday, I'm excited about the fact that Norfolk State, where Michael Vick is going to play Delaware State. Y'all know Deshaun Jackson is at Delaware. He's doing really well, like Coach Prime did at Jackson State, winning games that people thought they wouldn't win. This game is at Lincoln Field, where the Philadelphia Eagles play. This is this Thursday, the day before Halloween, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, I don't know where to watch it or how to watch it. Hopefully, I can find it somewhere because I'm interested to see. I'm thinking Delaware State is going to win because Delaware is really up here and Norfolk State is struggling, unfortunately. But anything could happen. I think it's just great that these two teams get to play on this stage in Philly where the Super Bowl was won. Oh, excuse me, where the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So they'll be treated really nice and things like that. And it's good exposure for the players. And again, I told y'all, there's a lot of HBCU football that's really good. So I'm hoping this game is exciting and thrilling. So y'all go check it out if y'all have an opportunity. One of the things I wanted to do also was predict the score. Predict the score of the Colorado Buffaloes versus Arizona. So, I put it on YouTube, but nobody really said anything. That makes me think a lot of people kind of like out on the Buffs right now, or kind of so disappointed they don't want to talk about it. But I asked the question, right? I have them winning the game 27. No, I think I said 17. No, 21-17. 21 for Colorado, 17 for Arizona. We beat Arizona last year. I believe we can beat Arizona this year. Now, I maintain that the offensive coordinator needs to be somebody else. If that doesn't happen, then the players going to have to do like they did against, who was it we beat? And the defense came on, and I think Toppy Bayer had the cast, right? But this time, I truly believe they have to overcome the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. And there are people calling for the firing of like 5 Colorado coaches. One being the DC, the OC, Pat Schumer, and Rob Livingston. But there's 3 other coaches, Mathis, Hart, and somebody else that they want fired. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But a lot of people feel like some major change is needed and immediately. But I just think we're going to end up having this season to just go bad. And Coach Prime was asked about how fans and boosters, really they should ask him about the boosters, how boosters are overreacting and firing these coaches. Now, Kelly at LSU, I think he should have been fired, but he gonna walk away with $54 million. I'm like, this is why they don't want no black coaches in the Power 5, because they know they're gonna have to pay them when they leave, and they don't want to gift them with that type of generational wealth. I think another coach at Texas A&M walked away with $75 million. And I heard the same athletic director hired both of them. So we just out here letting people give away generational wealth for nothing, while Coach Prime is being set up year after year after year. In other words, it's not about football. It's not about football. So Coach Prime basically said, the fact that you could just order up a pizza and have it like that, or you can go get a BBL. He said, walk in flat as a pancake and walk out thick. What did he say? Thick as a Snicker. He's basically saying that people have no more patience to invest in a program for 3 years and give the coach an opportunity to win. So I hope Coach Prime remains at Colorado. He don't seem like he worried about losing his job. He shouldn't. He really shouldn't. But, I pray he gets some offensive coordinators and some defensive coordinators that are college coaches. I hope we move away from this whole NFL thing, because I don't think it's safe. I don't think you could trust it, because I feel like what's happening to Coach Prime is also happening to Shedeur, meaning they're both being held back. And I feel like there are people that are trying to smother the Sanders football legacy. And I think it's happening at CU, and I know it's happening in Cleveland. And if we're going to talk about firing anybody, it should be fire Stefanski. Hashtag fire Stefanski. That's the only person that need to be fired right now. Right? That's it. That's it. I mean, Pat Schumer too, but birds of a feather, right? Birds of a feather. So let me know what y'all think the score is going to be for the Buffs versus Arizona. I'm getting ready to hop over to these comments and see what time it is. All right, let me see what y'all thinking. And shout out to Damari Smith, Turf Wars. If you have Spotify Premium, you can listen to the book for free. I'm on chapter 2, so I'm gonna still be telling y'all about it. I'll listen to it when I go work out. So I'm still gonna tell y'all about it because it's a lot of good gems, right? And I think it's amazing to me that this book is so eye-opening and you barely hear about it. But what did Damari Smith say about being ruthless off the field? So shout out to him. He seemed to be safe, so he ain't worried. All right. So welcome everybody. Welcome. Let's see who in here tonight. Shout out to one of our members started their own podcast. She told me about it. Tony Talks Vested. I think that's the name of it. I subscribed to it. I said, she was talking real facts, right? Yes, she shout out the podcast. But if any of y'all want to start your own podcast, hey, I'm cool with it. I don't have no problem with it because I think there need to be. I see like Coach Prime got a coaching tree. I need to have a podcast tree. I need people from this podcast to add to the solution, right? I imagine if there was like 10 of us from this podcast, all basically on all platforms, driving home the truth, right? Then we could get somewhere, right? I think I'm gonna start writing articles because I understand the connection with writing blogs, writing articles, and then being pushed out because the enemy actually knows that, right? They know they're going to write these blog posts. And the next thing you know is AI is going to tell people what the blog post says because AI is just a spider and it just grabs information and pushes it out there. It's not inventing nothing new. So I said, okay, because I clicked on something that said you should write an article. And I was like, oh, I could write an article. I think it's on X. So I don't know if it's going to be X though. But anyway, I find a way to do it too. So basically the things that I am saying can also be disseminated. So when you look up AI, it's like, what she said, sports said, this is the right. That's where we're losing the fight. They know this, they're doing this. We don't really blog anymore. We did when blogging was new, but we need to get back to that. We need to get back to writing articles, publishing articles, so our voice can be heard in the written digital sphere as well. So shout out to anybody that want to start their own podcast. Good luck to you, right? Good luck to you. Titus said, Shedeur can rest his back with the bye week. He will see some playing time soon because Dillion is not him. Dillion is not him, but Dillion is not the problem. Stefanski and Haslam are. Hey, Gail, how you doing? What's up? And Shedeur was actually posted on X. He was excited because he said he saw somebody with the DT96s on in downtown Cleveland. I'm like, Shedeur still in Cleveland? I thought he went home. Maybe because he got some time. And the Ravens on vacation? Because I think LaJonte's girlfriend posted she was going on vacation. And she made a nice tracksuit, some sweats for, it said Miller, something going with Omarion Miller. And I saw the 4 on it and everything. So I don't know if it's for him or his girlfriend, or not saying he got a girlfriend, but somebody in his family that will be repping him. She made him one. It's really nice. Check it out at Modesty Customs on her page. She did a phenomenal job. So, Roger, how you doing? Peace and blessings. It says Shady kept it real on Speakeasy about Shedeur. That's good to hear. What's up? Greetings to the chat. Hey, how you doing, Isaiah? It says Sean King let it be known how the Browns messed up with the QB. Right. Now, Sean King, he used to play in the NFL, right? I think somebody suggested that he be the next coach. I think that he used to play for the Browns or something like that. If so, they suggested he be one of the next coach. It said, good evening. It said, for me, it's just trade Shedeur. I get it. I totally get it. Quarterback University. It said the same agency represents Kevin Stefanski and Dylan Gabriel and Dan Lanning. Right. But that is not why Shedeur is allowed by Haslam, who owns the team, to be discriminated against. That's nice. That's understandable. That's not new information. The problem is that Stefanski has the green light from his boss, who owns the team, to disparage, which is why Brown sponsors, y'all need to work to get Brown sponsors to divest from the Cleveland Browns for unethical treatment, unethical practices. That's the talking point. It's not illegal for them to have the same manager. I don't even really know if it's a true conflict of interest. I don't care because it ain't illegal. I care about what's illegal. I'm not shocked that they know each other. Y'all told us earlier they played golf together. I knew that he was fond of Dillion. I get that. I get all of that, but it ain't illegal. Let's focus on what's illegal and get the sponsors to divest because it's illegal. They're not going to divest because they know each other. They're not going to divest because they think it's a conflict of interest. It's not illegal. It has to be illegal. Discrimination is illegal. That's the point that matters. That's what people need to be focused on, asking for sponsors to divest. We have leverage. We got to use it. Blessings, blessings. How you doing? It says, sis, I don't trust any of them with Shedeur. They all need to be fired. I totally agree, to be honest. It said, I feel like the Sanders family decide, if they ever decide to sue the NFL doesn't have a leg to stand on. Now, that's facts. That's facts right there. We'll lose in court because the mistreatment of the Sanders family is well documented. It's unethical what happened in the draft. It's unethical the way that the Giants lied on Shedeur. They know this. They know this. I just think that the NFL believes that it has Coach Prime over a barrel. And Colorado might not actually boost her up and pay Coach Prime. It's because if he gone and Shiloh gone and Shedeur's gone, I mean, that's just open season. And they got a case. And I know they got a case. So Coach Prime knows Shedeur has to play or it's considered malpractice. But there are people saying that Shedeur could be traded before the deadline without ever playing. What would that do? It would keep him devalued. See, if Shedeur go out here and play, yeah, it looked bad for Stefanski. But more than that, it looked bad for what happened to Shedeur in the draft. Because what has Cleveland tried to do? Maintain that he's a 5th-round QB talent. And that's a lie. That's why Stefanski won't let Shedeur get on that field. There are people who believe that Shedeur will not see that field, and they're not worried about organizational malpractice. Everybody knows that that's what it will be. These people are not fearing any consequence. What did Damari Smith say? They are ruthless off the field. Damari Smith talks about in his book how they were trying to negate the expert that came in to talk about CTE, the doctor that first discovered what CTE was, and how they went to a prominent person to try to convince somebody either not to speak or not to consider his testimony before Congress. Guess who they went to? Donald J. Trump. These people don't fear a damn thing. And if you haven't figured out, that is exactly how Shedeur got drafted. You see, they don't talk about that. Because if it was their decision, they would have made it seem like, well, I mean, we did do you a favor. And there are people in Cleveland that feel like that's what it was. But notice the Browns never said that. And Andrew Berry said it. We live by our draft board. Shedeur was not on the draft board. So if I'm not on the draft board and you live by the draft board, how did I get drafted? Haslam told you. He wasn't my pick. There were these phone calls and everybody was in the room. Who you think called? Okay. They don't want to talk about that. And you see, there's no more phone calls coming in. Why? Because in 2027, Trump announced that in 2027, the NFL draft will be in Washington, D.C. Y'all know what that means. That's dollar signs. Protection. It said, just saw that Dillon Gabriel is worse than the QBs that played with the Browns during their 0-16 season. Dillon Gabriel has a 25 QBR rating, which is ranked number 32 out of 32 NFL teams. So that's facts. It said he has the worst QBR and it's gotten worse every week. Right. So and it was worse last week. So when Haslam said, we haven't seen enough of Dillion. See, that's how you know who the culprit is right there. What the hell else you need to see? He don't want Haslam. He was my pick. Does not want Shedeur to get on that field because Haslam wants a white quarterback. He wants the Manning kid. He know if Shedeur get out here and ball out, it's gonna be hard to pull the fans back. As much as it seems like they don't give a damn about the fans, they don't want them all to run off at the same time. They will ignore them, but they don't want them to get upset and not show up. They don't want them to get upset and turn the TV off. What do they care about? That $400 million check that goes to each owner. That's what they care about. And from my understanding, when Kaepernick took a knee, that check was $230 million. And now it's double that. That's what they care about. And they know you're going to watch it on TV. Turn the TV off. Hell, if everybody just go find something else to do, I mean, that's leverage right there. That's what they care about. They don't even care if you don't even show up at the game because you already bought the tickets. They care if you ain't watching on TV. That's why they having Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl, even though, who did I just say is like their protector? And y'all know the philosophy. Come on now. Because we talking big bucks. And as long as everybody benefit, it's going to be okay. It said, you are so right. It said the black man will not be able to coach. That's how they feel. It said, as the NIL era matures, this is going to make all of this difficult. Right. It said, these college players, by large, are coming in business savvy. Everyone wants guaranteed contracts. Right. And see, here's the thing, right? I got 12. Let's say by the time Bryce Underwood come out, right? Now, the interesting thing about Bryce Underwood is Larry Ellison from Oracle somehow got involved in that situation. Now, my only issue with Bryce Underwood's situation is they love you as long as you're not ready to come out to go to the NFL. But as you can see with Lenore Sellers, who is now in the NFL eligible, and Kaden Salter, who's NFL eligible, and what happened to Shedeur last year, and what happened with how they didn't even talk about Cam last year. That's what happens when you're eligible for the NFL. Things happen, right? Lenore Sellers concussed, Shedeur devalued, blank whole family scapegoated, Shiloh collateral damage, the bus program collateral damage, largely ignored the hell out of Cam, but used him because if I don't draft nobody first, nobody black in the first round, people gonna know we racist because that's all they care about. Because we watch at home. We of the $450 million part of that. They don't really care about that damn. They don't care if you show up to the game. They don't care at all. They say the NBA don't even care. Because why? All of these leagues ran out here and got this money from Amazon and this money from Netflix and this money from ABC and TNT and all these other people that pay them the $400 million check each. Do you know how much money it is if each owner gets $450 million? That's what they care about. So I'm running out here getting black content creators, even though I'm discriminating against black players and trying to force them into submission because I know black people going to watch it on TV. They don't stick together. They ain't worried about Shedeur. But they know that ain't true. But they're going to do it anyway because they want to get the check from $450 million to $500 million with us while they discriminating against Shedeur's and Cam and the other 16 black quarterbacks. They don't want 17 to 32 black quarterbacks, but I want to get all these black content creators to come out here and bring their black audiences so I can make $500 million off y'all's backs. But I'm not going to let two black quarterbacks play against each other week after week after week as number 17, 18, 19, and 20. That is the cheekiest shit I have ever heard in my life. That's psychotic. I don't want y'all to be in the face of the league. I don't want y'all to be famous in the league. I don't want you to be rich in the league. I don't want two of you playing each other week after week. To the point I'm going to destroy these people. But hey, go ahead and get these black content creators and come on here and tell them to come watch it on TV. Because I want to get that $450 million check to $500 million. You tell me that is not crazy. I'm pretty sure if you had 17, 18, or 19 black quarterbacks and they played against each other every week, we would watch it. You want me to watch it, but you don't want me to watch it naturally. You want to manufacture it, and then you want me to watch it. So you want to pay for me to come watch two white quarterbacks while you discriminate against two black quarterbacks. So you think I'm crazy? Oh, okay. So you think we don't stick together? You think Target could never happen to you? You think, and you know that we're 40% of this audience because you keep beckoning for us. The halftime show catered to us to the point where they had people asking, why can't the halftime show be country and Western music? Are they giving in to that request? No. But they want to discriminate against black coaches, black GMs, black owners, black players, black quarterbacks. That's crazy. And you crazy if you think that we don't see what you're doing, or you either think that we truly don't stick together, which means you ignoring the reality that's happening out here. You're not aware that while things are falling apart, we have boots on the ground. You're not aware that while things are falling apart, black people out here on the internet with a few white people are out here singing at the top of their lungs the song Folded by Kehlani. So you really don't know what's going on. You just send people out to go find black content creators, but you don't really know black culture. You don't really know that black people stick together. And that's going to be your downfall. It said next it will be 20 games. Right. And they still have no guaranteed contracts. The crazy part is it's like what DeMaurice Smith is saying, right? They just tell the players anything. They just push through what the hell they want. They don't give a damn about the players at all. I mean, look at what Kirk Cousins said, but then Kirk Cousins can get out here and ask to be QB1, and Shedeur Sanders should be QB1 without anybody asking him, because the goal is to win. But I bet if he was to ask for a trade, like Kirk Cousins is essentially saying, he would end up like Deshaun, except for Massage Gate, some other kind of way, right? Because I told y'all Deshaun Watson wasn't the only one. There were married people involved. There were white people involved. And you see who got the blame. Justin Tucker's white. You don't hear them talking about that, do you? So then you know I'm telling you the truth. They covering for Stefanski because if he was black, they would be wanting to fire him just like Andrew Berry. And I ain't cutting for Andrew Berry because in my opinion, he lured Shedeur there knowing what kind of ideology the Browns have. I don't like that. And they're saying that there's a rift because Berry just up and traded Flacco. I don't believe that. Because if Berry could up and trade Flacco, he could up and trade Shedeur and let's go. That's bullcrap. That's just what people want to say. I don't know why we haven't seen Andrew Berry. I just know we ain't seen him because they try to fire him. But that's on him because he knew what time it was. He knew exactly what time it was. It said, yeah, I think, I'm telling you, if you just, I'm going to leave this on the screen so y'all can read it because some people might just be joining us. If you could understand just the 2 chapters that I have listened to from DeMaurice Smith, just the 2 chapters, but I don't know what the hell I'm here in chapter 10. I mean, I have learned so much that I'm like, the players need to read this book. And y'all will know how to navigate. Best believe what I have learned in 2 chapters is that Stefanski is being used to break Shedeur. and he's taking pleasure in it. I learned that from looking. But Stefanski is being used to shield the owner while Stefanski breaks Shedeur for this fourth bullet point right here. And I have said it before, I want to see what the hell they're going to do next year. Because you can't do the same thing every year. When you see them out here running and grabbing these black people, some coming. Or they had some. Because they ran out and got Charles Woodson before they discriminated against Shedeur. So it's something. Yeah, there are people on all kind of platforms when you do research that basically talks about the power dynamic in the NFL as being akin to slavery. Yes. Look at what Demarius Smith is saying about the contracts and the lack of protection for the players. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Don't say I'm hating on black content creators. Go get the bag. But don't you ever sell and sit up to your fans and say that they not racist just because they paid you a bag. That's what I'm saying. Go get the bag. But don't come sell that foolishness when they out here discriminating against black players. Yeah, they snuffed Shedeur out the Heisman race, and I think they had something to do with it. Because if Shedeur was on the Heisman stage, it would have been difficult to push him down to the 5th round. This was all orchestrated. It's all orchestrated, and they still continuing it. I told y'all, they just want to get to the end of the goddamn season so fast. They like, look here, just get. And the crazy part is, I said this to somebody in the comments, and I'm gonna say it to y'all out loud just in case I didn't say it, but I think I did. Don't be surprised if, like DTR, Shedeur right there next year, because you know they could trade him before the trade deadline, right? So I'm intentionally putting it out here that we're going to play him the last 4 games in the dead of winter when everybody broke, when everybody is injured. But I could trade him. I'm discussing trading Myles Garrett because he's frustrated, but I don't want to trade Shedeur. That tells you they're trying to hurt Shedeur. And we're going to be talking about it until we get to all 4 of them games. And the voices better get loud if it's just like what I say it is. The Rams game. Intentionally sacked. And do not join in any conversation about them trashing Jalen Hurts or Justin Fields or Cam Ward. Just be quiet. Just sit it out. Because they pushing a narrative against 16 black quarterbacks. Because they know they can't push them all out at one. Cam just got here. I remind you, Daniel Jones got 2 football careers to get it right. Don't join in that. If you feel like you can't find nothing nice to say, but you should. And you should call them out for what it is. Hashtag, what is it? Blame the black guy? Because that's what it is. They trying to blame Barry. They talking about Mike Tomlin need to go and coach somewhere else. Why he got to leave? They want to blame him because the defense is the highest paid and he not even the GM. The defense ain't working for us no more. How is that Mike Tomlin's fault? Because he didn't pay them. They don't ever want to hold the GM accountable if the GM is, they don't want to hold no white people accountable in the NFL. It's always blame the black guy. That's what it is. And to sit up and assert because Dillion isn't good, now you finally want to admit it. Shedeur can't play because he must not be good either. Well, we know for a fact that we have watched Shedeur play in the NFL and he's good. But they want to pretend like we didn't. That's crazy. That's desperation. That's psychotic. It's crazy to scapegoat a group of people that you hate, but pay them millions of dollars to play for you. And in the dark, abuse them. Then run out here out of greed and go get some more black people so you could get us to come watch you abuse them in the dark. Oh, y'all crazy. They better ask somebody. People love to say black people don't stick together. That's a lie. That's a lie. You're going to find out. So yeah, get the bag. Everybody, just get the bag. Got to get it from somewhere. It said, it can be said that Shedeur was the catalyst for CU's success, even when Travis needed him as a wide receiver. Shedeur's a dog. I think everybody see. Somebody posted a video of people crying, talking about we miss Shedeur. Man, Shedeur was a dog. God damn, Shedeur was a dog. God. I found myself saying the other day, I wish Coach Brown had stayed at Jackson State. I feel like that. I mean, I'm happy, I mean, I'm happy for Coach Taylor because I do feel like Coach Prime moving on opened the door for other black coaches to elevate. I do feel like that. But I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Maybe that's why I'm so excited for Deshaun Jackson to play Michael Vick. I don't know. I'm not sure it was worth it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was worth it. I'm not sure if it was worth it. Why? Because that kind of stress, that kind of people coming for you all the time, that takes a toll on your body, right? The man already dodged cancer, right? And stress is one of the biggest causes of cancer cells being formed, right? Your body, your immune system breaking down. He don't need that in his life. Now, I know God will protect Coach Prime, so if the boosters come and fire him, that's for his own good. Just kind of like I think Shedeur not playing yet is for Shedeur's own good because Stefanski got to go. When I went back and looked at the poll I put out yesterday, it had doubled to like 193 people, but the answer was still the same. 93% or 97% said, hell no, we don't trust Stefanski to call the plays for Shedeur, designed for Shedeur's elite QB skill set with the intent and plan to win. 97% are still saying the same thing. It's just more people adding to the result that no, we don't trust Stefanski. Somebody said Hexno, Hexno. Hexno. No, we don't trust it. And there's a post that somebody posted about Shedeur should start. We just seen enough of Dillion. It's time for Shedeur to start. And I think Shedeur must have liked that post. So the person was like, Shedeur liked my post, and that's fine. That's good. And he should start, right? I don't know if that's an indication that he's going to start, but I think one publication tried to make it seem messy, like Shedeur's advocating for Dillion to be benched. I'm like, no, he didn't. Somebody said Shedeur was happy to see somebody advocating for him. You see how they always want to take it and turn it against Shedeur? If y'all on these platforms, this is what y'all got to speak out against, right? Because they feel like they can drown us out, and I don't think so. I just don't think we understand how intentional these messages are and how they're designed to devalue Shedeur as a person. What did Damari Smith say? They are more ruthless off the field. Social media is off the field. And you see how ruthless they are. He just liked the post because somebody advocated for him to start. That don't mean he's thinking about Dillion. But that's what they want to turn it into. Oh, you shouldn't even be mad at that. Dillion himself should be liking that post because Dillion knows he's not better than Shedeur. Yes, he does. Just like Josh Allen knew he wasn't the MVP and Lamar Jackson was. And I don't care who get mad about me saying that Jalen Hurts is better and should be paid $330 million over Josh Allen. Josh Allen ain't been to the Super Bowl. What are we protecting Josh Allen for? If y'all knew his wife was half black, would they still be stomping for him out here like this? Probably not. Dillon Gabriel was never good, right? Again, I don't know how he made it through Oregon. Again, I didn't watch their games. It said the press is trying to blame Andrew Barrett for drafting Dillon. Right, and everybody knows that that's Stefanski. Everybody know Dillon is Stefanski's boy. Now they people who didn't know that Stefanski and Dan Lanning have a connection, right? All that does is absolve the owner. Oh, that must be what it is. No, that's not. That's a byproduct. This is the owners doing. The owners took Shedeur off the board. Haslam is an owner. Andrew Berry said it. We live by our draft board. Shedeur was not on it. So how did he get to Cleveland? All of that talk about them work, that's a conflict of interest. Don't nobody care about that, because you should be talking about why the hell it is that the owner is using Kevin Stefanski. The owner is hiding behind Kevin Stefanski to humiliate Shedeur, just like he was humiliated in the draft. That's the conversation. And get to them sponsors. Stefanski was doing his homie Dan Lanning a favor. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. I've said that. I said that was Dillion was a favor for a friend. Now, why is it that the Browns thought that they could draft Dillion and use Dillion to hold back Shedeur and nobody would say anything? Let me know. Honestly, why do you think they thought they could deeply discount Shedeur, get him while he not on the draft board, put him behind Dillion, and he would stay parked there, and nobody would say anything, knowing they had Shedeur in the celebrity football game, and he had over 4 million fans. The Sanders family is iconic, so much so that they're trying to drown out the Sanders family. Why did they think people wouldn't say anything? Arrogance? Let me know your thoughts, really. Let me know when you tell me what it is. Let me know why you're saying it. Why do you believe they thought they could get away with this and nobody would say anything, knowing Shedeur has 4 million followers, 4 million fans, knowing Coach Prime has fans, knowing the Sanders family is iconic? Why do you think that they thought no one would say anything? Or did they plan for the onslaught and they don't care? Let me know your thoughts. I know what you meant, Isaiah. I knew what you meant. It said discrimination for already having money, power, and influence, thus choices. Yeah, they all choices. Yeah. That's I totally agree with that. It said the Browns are still paying players who are on other teams. Yeah, I heard there was a report going around, some type of post showing the quarterbacks still being paid by the Browns, even though they don't play for the Browns. That's crazy. They are trying to play Dillion against the Jets, hoping that they can win and buy an extra week to keep Shedeur on the sideline. I totally agree. I totally agree with this. I said, when we were looking at it, I said, what week do y'all think Shedeur could play? I said, oh, they could beat the Jets. I ain't gonna lie. Justin Fields, I'm rooting for you. If Shedeur ain't out here, and see, that's another thing. See, if Shedeur was out there, 2 black quarterbacks, just like Caleb Williams versus Huntley, because Lamar was hurt. The vibe of that game was different. Shedeur versus Justin Fields, I'm gonna watch that. Damn sure I'm gonna watch that. I'm rooting for both of them. They don't want that. In fact, they would probably they wouldn't even be able to figure out, do I want Justin Fields to beat Shedeur or do I want Shedeur to beat Justin Fields? Because they trash both of them. Justin Fields ain't done nothing to nobody but gravitate towards God. Just like Shedeur. But we gonna see. One thing about it, we gonna see. Shout out to Shannon Sharp and Ocho. They were actually saying they discussed it with the way Stefanski is treating Shedeur and holding him back. That's more of that. More of that. More of that. And throw Haslam name in there too. Right? Because that's who the problem is. That's who the problem is. And throw them sponsors in there. Ocho says Shedeur looked good warming up on Saturday. He said coaches do what Stefanski did all the time. Yeah. Yes. They let it come out and say it wasn't Stefanski was the reason Shedeur couldn't play. It's that if they do, I hope Justin Fields will beat the brakes off of Cleveland. Yeah. Not if Shedeur playing though. I'm gonna need Shedeur to win. It's funny how they might let that game end in a tie. Remember how we talked about the new tie feature, which seems new to me, but was it the Dallas game? Dallas versus somebody, and the game ended up in a tie, and I was like, oh Lord, here we go. Here we go. It said Travis Hunter doesn't need a run me my money hoodie. His hoodie will say pay me to play me. Oh yeah, that's cute. That's cute. It said Travis was smart to get that money up front. Facts. Facts. And look who he went to get it. It said it's possible that Gruden got traded from the Raiders. Somebody trying to hire him, but I think that's gonna be a problem. Because he have a problem. I think they said he was racist against black people. He was sexist, and I think did he have a problem with LGBTQ too? Yeah, okay. You start right there. You start right there. Did y'all hear about this? Supposedly, the Jaguars asked Travis to wear a LGBTQ patch, and he didn't want to wear it. So people making a big deal out about it. Was that AI or was that true? I ain't have time to look that up. If y'all know anything about that, y'all let me know. So Travis just got baptized, right? And I told y'all they coming for Travis. I'm like, why did they ask him to wear a patch? Couldn't they ask nobody else to wear a patch? If y'all know anything about that story, let me know. If not, I have to go look it up later. But I thought that was crazy. I'm like, they just coming for Travis every week. It says Shedeur probably sits in his house saying, man, they really hate me like this. Now, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Shedeur knows exactly what's going on. I think he knows it's racism. He has learned that it's not about his father. He has learned the NFL culture for himself. He has learned the Browns culture is toxic. I think he knows Andrew Berry lured him there. I think he knows that they baited and switched him. I think he knows that they know he's good and they are intentionally holding him back. I do. I think he knows these things. I think other players have talked to him. I think that's when he and Jalen Hurts had a conversation. That's why they wanted to know what they were talking about. They want to get rid of Myles Garrett because they know that they know each other. That's why Jerry Jeudy was sharing a locker with Flacco, so that Jerry Jeudy wouldn't build chemistry because he already knew Shedeur, and they knew that. They sure knew a lot to say they don't know who the hell he is when it comes to his skill set, right? So it said Michael Jordan should own an NFL team, right? And he can't even own one. What does that say? Favorite one, I doubt it. Now, understand this: if there was a lawsuit and the remedy in the lawsuit is that there should be at least one black owner, who you think they're gonna go get? Honestly, drop the name in the chat of who you think if they are forced by remedy from a racial discrimination suit, because there's two of them out there. If they are forced, and one of the remedies is to make sure there's a black owner of an existing team, because one of these teams got to get booted out, like Cleveland. Who do you think that owner would be? I'm gonna look and see what y'all are saying. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on one second. So let me know who you think it would be, because if they got to get one black owner, who would they go get? It said it's unbelievable hate, which is wild, right? It is. And I think it's mind-blowing to a lot of people how deep this is. That's why the book, I'm telling you, if you listen to the book, Turf Wars, if you're working out, I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, damn, this really deep, right? It said hate that makes you laugh, right? It said Magic Johnson has ownership with the Commanders, right? So tell me who y'all think the one owner they have to let in would be. It said now Mahone knows. I saw him on a video a couple of years ago wearing a shirt that said historically black. What? I thought he learned in the Super Bowl. I ain't gonna lie. Because the first thing I think he did was cut his hair. I was like, damn. Mahomes know he black for sure. He know he black. His wife, they was on some GQ type question show, where the couples get asked questions. And he asked his wife, this is crazy. He asked his wife, what is my favorite food? Of course she should know. She said fried chicken, just like that. And the look on his face, I was like, you put up with this at home? When I tell y'all she said fried chicken, just like that, I was like, he said, no, tacos. I was like, damn. Yeah, just let it go, man. Let it ain't too late. It ain't too late. It ain't too late. Well, when she said fried chicken, I thought I would lose it. That was hilarious. And he was mad because he was like, no, like, you know damn well I don't like no fried chicken. You can go and eat it now, boo. Yes. Yes, that's what they saying. Davao was the one who said Shedeur had on the headphones and stuff like that. Preach this to tell the truth about these. Yeah, it's just crazy, bro. It's just crazy. It says, so now Spencer Rattler is bitch for Tyler Shaw. Right. Because the Browns holding Shedeur back. The Saints like, you know what? We could just go ahead on and go back to Tyler Shaw. Because see, they really didn't want to put Spencer Rattler in. I think Brian Kelly got fired because of Nussmeier's son. Remember, Nussmeier's son was supposed to come out this year and go to LSU. That's what I think. So they're willing to pay him $54 million to get the hell out the way so they can get a coach to, I don't know what they're going to do because the season almost over, so they can try to get Nussmeier's son to get up there. Because remember, that's why they wanted Tyler Shaw. He wasn't first round. They could push him out the way for Nussmeier's son, and it blocked Shedeur. And I have named the teams that have blocked Shedeur, and I have told you what all of their problems were, right? It's the same thing. They don't want a black franchise QB to be the face of their team to win long term. I'm from New Orleans. I know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. The fact that Arch Manning was the last first round quarterback drafted for the Saints, and they have had another period, and Shedeur was going to be the first one. I love my city, but New Orleans is it's like it's a fight for the city, right? Just like Atlanta. It's the same thing. And the fight is the same. You know, it's the same thing, right? The face, when you think of New Orleans, right? That what you think of. They don't want you to think of black people. When you think of Atlanta, they get tired of it. They're like, they get tired of that. Atlanta and New Orleans are cousins. And they get hated on the same way. So thank you. It said he finding out. No, he shouldn't have went to Baltimore, John. No, he shouldn't have went to Baltimore. It's not about being humble. You know, somebody is saying Shedeur should have went to Baltimore. You know, when people say that, they don't want to talk about Shedeur going to the same team that was supposed to pay him $40 million. It said the only reason they didn't was because of Deshaun. And here's the thing. They're not even paying Deshaun. Shedeur was lured, pigeonholed to Cleveland to be taken off the draft board and devalued and deeply discounted so he could be pushed out the way. Why do you think they comparing Cam Ward to Josh Rosen? So they can push him out the way. Why do you think they trashing Justin Fields? So they can push him out the way. Why do you think they trashing Jalen Hurts? So they can push him out the way. Somebody put out their MVP list with all the quarterbacks and somebody else. All the quarterbacks were white except for two. That's what they want. And the two quarterbacks, Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts. And we know I'm like, what is it about Jordan Love? Let me see. Do I need to look at white? What is it? But then Aaron Rodgers could come out and say he want to retire in Green Bay. So you're going to do what with Jordan Love? You see? They already got Malik Willis over there behind Jordan Love. And one of the teammates for the Green Bay Packers said out loud, Malik Willis is too good to be a QB2. So in addition to not wanting 17 black starting quarterbacks, they have stacked 12 black quarterbacks behind the 16 black quarterbacks. So how many is that? 28. So technically, there are probably 28 quarterbacks that could ball out at QB1. But unbeknownst to a lot of fans, they have stacked black quarterbacks behind black quarterbacks. So I'm not going to stack Shedeur behind J.J. McCarthy because I think Shedeur going to take J.J. McCarthy's job. See, that it's not necessarily just because Shedeur is better. I mean, he is. But they could have got somebody that could compete with Shedeur, but they chose to go based on preference. See, Tyler Shaw was a preference, which is why he couldn't compete with Spencer Rattler. You could have got Quinn Ewers, but you collude against him too for different reasons. UT, Arch Manning. Sarkeesian. Ruthless. You could get people that are actually good, but you out here trying to give away generational wealth to your little friends. Brian Kelly getting $54 million to get the hell out of the way so Nussmeier's son could come out. Let's see what happens. Because he was supposed to be coming out, but he was in the way. And losing to Texas A&M was just huge, I guess, right? And they don't even have a losing season. But it's obvious that his son has been proven to not be good like they had hoped. Just like Arch Manning. I mean, he might be better than Arch Manning. I'm just saying. It was the same thing. Nussmeier was in the top 5. Arch Manning was in the top 5. And neither one of them are good. Because they were trying to force that narrative. Just like they forced the narrative that Shedeur was not good. It's crazy how Kirk Cousins can say out loud, I would like to go play for a team that has a QB1 opportunity because Minnesota. But Shedeur can't even like a post that somebody suggests that he start. And he actually is a QB1 that could start. But Minnesota made sure to say, we want a veteran. So they don't end up with Shedeur behind J.J. McCarthy. And they protecting J.J. McCarthy so tough, they moved Daniel Jones out the hell way so he don't compete with J.J. McCarthy. So he took another black quarterback spot. That's what's happening to 16 black quarterbacks, including Jalen Hurts, who's been to the Super Bowl twice. Pat Mahomes won one, and he won one. And I promise you, they are pushing up these white quarterbacks. So there are 2 white quarterbacks in the NFL. So there are possibly 3 or 4 white quarterbacks in the AFC and NFC championship so they can feel like they can reclaim something. So basically, they are shunning talent for preference and rigging everything just so they can preserve whiteness at the QB position in the Super Bowl and in these championship conference games and the MVP race. That's a trifecta. That's what they're going for. And they want that to be the way it is for the foreseeable future. If I can't control the players, then go get me some white ones. They know the power dynamic is changing. They feel like they can control the white players, and maybe to some extent they can. Because when Kirk Cousins spoke out and said they lied to him, he stopped saying that. They definitely overpaid him. Definitely overpaid him. Norfolk State is Michael Vick's team, and he played for Philly. Oh, okay, that's the connection. Okay, I thought it was Deshaun Jackson that played for Philly. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. It said the way that coach was speaking in the presser today, he is not letting go of anybody. You talking about Spencer Rattler? I heard it's due to poor performance. It's the same poor performance that Shedeur had in the Rams game. Yep, same thing. They do not want. Y'all know Spencer Rattler is also a 5th round pick, and is actually elite. Spencer Rattler is actually good. And Saints fans said it. He wasn't even bad. I said, you know, my comment was, I said, they see the Browns over here holding back Shedeur, so they figured the hell with it. Let me just hold back Spencer Rattler. That's all it is. 17-32. Now, just like the black head coaches, they started with 6. They have 4. They're going to try to get to 2 or 3. I started with 16 black quarterbacks. I'm trying my best to get to 10. I'm trying my best to get to 10 because the draft coming. I'm going to have to get somebody so people won't say we racist. So they have already figured this out. They have already figured it out. They already knew who was coming out of school. When this time last year when Shedeur was number 1. They knew Lenore Sellers was number 1, and he got so heavily concussed, he had to miss several games. And I'm sure he's trying to get back up there to the top. They don't talk about him no more. They want to talk about Dante Moore, who they don't even know if he's coming out this year. Because he go to Oregon. But he's also black. So let's see what happens with that. Let's see if Dan Lanning's one of his players who's black and a quarterback can be the franchise quarterback for Cleveland Browns. Let's see. That's the way you get out of the heat of saying you discriminated against Shedeur, but I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to keep rolling with Dillion, and they're going to try to hold Shedeur hostage for another year. Unless the volume is turned up so loud, like DeMaurice Smith said, they begging to stop. Just get him out of here. That's what it's going to take. It said Norfolk State versus Delaware State will be streaming on ESPN. Okay, good. And radio broadcast will be on Heritage Sports Radio Network. Okay, so I should be able to see it on ESPN. Okay, I really want to watch that game. I hope Norfolk State can bring the competition, because I know Delaware State is up here and I know Norfolk State has been struggling. So I'm hoping it's a good match or a good game, like Jackson State and Grambling. That was a good game. I think I'm gonna go to the Celebration Bowl this year in Atlanta. I really think so. I think Coach Prime will be there next year. A lot of people do not want him to go. Oh, that's good. That's real good. That's real good. Okay. Roger Johnson say fire Stefanski. Facts. It said Kevin treated 12 wrong because the owner allows it. Thank you. Because if this ain't what you saying, I don't know what we talking about. Everybody need to be on this page right here. What does the comment say on the screen? Kevin Stefanski. It said Kevin Stefanski is treating 12 wrong because the owner allows it. Period. Now let's take it one step further, because that's what the owner prefers to happen. And Kevin Stefanski is glad to do it because he describes himself on X in his bio as what? A faithful servant of the Cleveland Browns. That is why Haslam is like, no. Stefanski's done good work for us. Must be off the field, because it ain't on the field. They're going to end up firing Prime if he has 2 consistent losing seasons. Yeah, that's why he got to get Pat Schumer and Rob Livingston out there. It said there are so many bootleg YouTube channels showing NFL games now. Oh, wow. Interesting. Hey, how you doing, Z? Sweet Pea said, we the CU fans failed Shedeur in the Heisman race. It said DNVR started with the Heisman for Travis. We should have been pushing for them both. Okay. I'm going to go with that. We could have pushed for them both, but Shedeur wasn't going to get it. Shedeur wasn't going to get it because if Shedeur would have got any piece of the Heisman, it would have been difficult to right now hold him back as a 5th round quarterback behind a 3rd round. It would have been, he wasn't going to get that. That's why he didn't get it. And this should expose all of it, that college and the NFL, they work together. They working together to control. Why do you think it is Georgia is such a pipeline school to the NFL? Why do you think it is without being a winning school? Why, like they didn't win the Natty, right? Why do you think they have so many players coming out of Georgia? How many black quarterbacks have Georgia had besides Justin Fields? And he left. That's why. That's why. Because Georgia fits the mold. They know what to do. They know to get the right quarterback. This is why I believe they fired Florida's coach, Florida Gators. Who does he have as a coach? As a black quarterback? DJ Lagaway. Now, how is it that Ole Miss, for the first time that I know of, period, I don't follow them like that, but I was rooting for them because they got 2 black quarterbacks. And after they pushed up Jackson Dart over Jalen Milroe so that Jackson Dart could come out instead of Shedeur, all of this is rigged from college to the pros. It's all rigged, right? They offered Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin, I heard $81 million to leave Ole Miss and go to Florida. So what's going to happen to his 2 black quarterbacks? They're going to end up with a new coach, and their careers is going to take a dive like Kaden Salter and Shedeur Sanders. Coach Prime is a target because all of his quarterbacks are black for the most part. The ones that he expected to play QB1 and 2 are black. Do y'all know they was accusing Coach Prime of not playing style because he white? Did y'all know that? That's true. That's what all of that pushing up for style was. That's why. Where y'all think that came from? So they were trying to manipulate Coach Prime into moving off of Juju, moving off of Caden, who this is his NFL year, and to treat both of them like they doing Shedeur, as if Staub is Dillion. But do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, they came with that. They sure did. See, when you're a black head coach, they still want you to go with the white quarterback. And when you bring in 2 black quarterbacks, then your season tanks and maybe you'll do what the hell I say. Isn't that what happened? And he seemingly can't find either one of them. And we know Doc got that contract. So is Coach Prime really going to be there next year, or is Doc going to be elevated as the head coach? Because the only team I said we going to beat is West Virginia. And they scheduled that game. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning. So you know that that's irrelevant, right? 10 o'clock Mountain Time. What is that? 1 o'clock? Is that 1 o'clock, or is that 1 p.m. Eastern, or 12 o'clock? It's early. It's early. It said, what's your thought on Coach Prime video? I haven't seen it, so I couldn't tell you. Somebody mad because I'm talking about Josh Allen. You know what? I tell you what, since you want to hate on me, how about you go watch Josh Allen's black wife in her movie called Sinners? I think you'll love it. It's made for you. Silly. Just silly. Some people just silly. They just really hate, that black people can get somewhere without their help, as if we need white benevolence. That's just insane. It said, I remember Shedeur and Shiloh used to pay Shalimai to post, and like Darius. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I had no idea. I had no idea. I mean, she got her own account, so I guess I never thought about it like that. It said Cleveland forgot no one liked Oregon, and Ohio State. Oh, that's right. That Ohio State, Oregon. Yep, that rivalry, right? Ohio State mollywopped Oregon during the CFB playoffs. Then how could they not know who Dillion is? That's interesting that you bring that up, because I had no idea. And they think NFL fans don't watch college football in Ohio. That is interesting. So they should know exactly who Dillion is then, right? 251 of us. Hit the like button, please. Magic Johnson. Okay, so I asked the question. JD2 has answered it. I said, who do y'all think, if the NFL is forced to let in a black owner outright, not limited partner? They got a lot of them. Notice they got a lot of black limited partners. But I meant ownership through as a remedy to one of these open lawsuits for racial discrimination against black players and people and coaches, etc. Who do you think they would let in? JD2 said Magic Johnson, meaning they would elevate him from limited partner and make him an actual owner. Let me know your thoughts. Magic Johnson, okay, I could see that. Byron Allen for NFL owner. I could see that because for obvious reasons, I could see that. Andrew Berry. Rihanna for NFL ownership. A black woman? It's a good idea. But I don't know. But it's a good idea. I like it, Ghost Vanessa. Bucky went off on a staff writer for The Athletic covering the Browns, Zach Jackson, who said Shedeur Sanders lied about the Giants and the Browns, telling him not to work out at the Shrine Bowl. Bucky said it was a lie. Yeah, they did ask him not to work out. That Zach guy seems to be a little ruthless in his coverage. He's not impartial at all. I think he get paid to push narratives, possibly. Since we had a New Orleans takeover of Las Vegas with the Versus, No Limit, Cash Money, I watched it. I was actually live tweeting through it. And the Bayou Classic, Las Vegas with Grambling. Yeah, that was good. All at the same time. I wish the Versus didn't interfere with the timing of the game. I think more people could have been in both places. But I did like the fact that New Orleans practically took over. It felt like New Orleans, Louisiana was taking over Vegas. I thought that was good. They asked Master P, why was it there instead of New Orleans? He said, well, just somewhere different for people to go. So shout out to them. Yep. Deshaun Jackson played for Philly. Okay, so they both played for Philly. Okay, so that makes it even more special that Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson played for Philly. And both teams will be playing Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Norfolk State and Delaware State will be playing in Philly Stadium, Lincoln Field. That's awesome. And Philly is getting a new stadium too, but they won the Super Bowl, so yeah. So that's good. They were teammates on the Eagles. Oh, wow, that gets even better. So this is truly a rivalry. Yes, totally agree with that, Turney. Totally agree with that. Exposing the Truth said, I feel like they wanted to give the Heisman to Shedeur or make it a competition between him and Travis. That's when Shedeur said Travis should have the Heisman. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. They were going in and trying to pit them apart, and Shedeur saw it. And he said, you know what? Just give it to Travis. And he was right. Because for one, he wasn't gonna win it no way. He just probably didn't know that that was because of what they were trying to do in the draft, right? They were already positioning where Shedeur should be pigeonholed to. They did that early where Shedeur was concerned, but they drafted Cam at the last minute. And now that they're both in the league, Cam has been sacked excessively, something people thought was going to happen to Shedeur. And Shedeur hasn't been allowed to play in a regular season game. But maybe he'll play against the Jets. We'll see. I don't know. I think the pressure is mounting, right? I think the pressure's been there. It's just they didn't want to listen. But now it's like they can't ignore it because you got the Tony Grossi saying, yeah, Shedeur need to get out there. You got white people, basically, who were riding with the Browns at first, who are now saying, all right, enough is enough. That's why I think, they're changing their tune. Who is Marcel Reed? Who does he play for? Rise Academy said Gene Upshaw. Oh, you said they'll let Gene Upshaw in? Let me see who I think they're going to let in. The answer is anybody they can control because they're going to want to control that one black owner. They're not going to, they're going to die if it's two black owners. Whoever the black owner is. If it's Magic Johnson, he already know how to play the game. He's going to have to play the game. They're going to want to get an owner like the Jacksonville Jaguars, but a black owner, and they're going to saddle him with somebody like the Jacksonville Jaguars are saddled with Trevor Lawrence to 2029, which means even if you go out here and get a Travis Hunter and pay him $31 million and he can play on both sides of the ball, we still going to limit his time because the white quarterback has to be the hero. This is why people out here stomping for Josh Allen. He's not good. Not like they prop him up to be. I like Josh Allen. He seemed cool. Right? Shout out to bro. But at the same time, he ain't Jalen Hurts. And to try to disparage Jalen Hurts and prop up Josh Allen or to sabotage Lamar Jackson and prop up Josh Allen, I mean, just get somebody that's good. I don't understand. Why does it have to be Josh Allen? I have said this before. Mac Jones balling out. I told y'all he gonna get somebody a job. Don't be surprised if he end up in Cleveland. I don't know how much his contract is. But what I do know is Brock Purdy coming back. And they're gonna put Mac Jones in a black quarterback spot. You know what somebody said today? This is a white benevolence theory again. If you don't know what white benevolence is, look it up. They said Ben Johnson. No, that's not what it was. I thought they were saying the backup quarterback is the reason that Caleb Williams is doing well. They're saying Ben Johnson is the head coach. He's the reason Caleb is doing well. Wasn't Caleb good, but the team was around him was not. In other words, Caleb was going through the CJ Stroud situation that CJ Stroud is not going through, that they trying to put Jaden Daniels through, but he out hurt, that they try to put Lamar Jackson through, but he out hurt. $16 black quarterbacks are under attack in the NFL. They trying to whittle down as far as many as possible before we get to the next draft. They know they're going to have to draft at least one, and that's what they're going to do. And they're not talking about, and yeah, they do care about the later rounds. They really do. Because why? They have already had black quarterbacks sitting at QB2, and they still made their way to QB1. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a prime example. He was devalued. Jalen Hurts had the audacity to get up and leave Nick Saban's Alabama. And I think they still taking it on him, just like Justin Fields had the audacity to get up and leave Kirby Smart's Georgia. Because why? You think you can make a decision for yourself. What does bullet number 4 say? That's what they fear. It says fear. That's what they hate. I know they're afraid of it in the future, but they hate it right now. They hated it when Justin Fields came in. They hated that Caleb Williams didn't even want to come to the NFL. He wanted to go to the UFL or anywhere else. And he got sacked excessively last year. What's happening to Cam Ward is what they thought was going to happen to Shedeur. The question was, before the draft even started, how many times, they were talking about Caleb Williams being sacked 70 some odd times or something like that. They said, well, how many times Shedeur going to get sacked? Because they already know. There are people that take pleasure in trying to cause CTE in these guys. They're not going to admit that that's what it is, but that's what they're doing. You're not going to tell me that being sacked 70 times in 1 year is has a negative impact on your brain in the future. You're not going to tell me that Justin Fields being sacked 175 times in his young career isn't going to cause him problems in the future. I think that that's one of the reasons why Shedeur ain't playing, because it will be worse. Because like they said, well, how many times Shedeur going to get sacked? Excessive sacks are weaponized against these young black players that start to end their careers, move them out the way. In addition to the narrative that they pushing, the sacks are to make them look bad so they can lose. So the quarterback stats so they don't have the yards. That's why it happened to Shedeur. So he could be devalued in the draft. And he still overcame it. And he still got devalued. But instead of it being his stats, because you couldn't deny them, they just lied. Do you know how ruthless that is? And again, that's off the field activity. He ain't even played yet. So I just need Stefanski on first. Because even if Stefanski takes the headset off and gives it to Tommy Rees, I don't trust that Stefanski didn't come up with a game plan to hurt Shedeur. I think the more people drive home the point that they don't trust Stefanski to be fair when it comes to Shedeur, or to be concerned about his health, safety, and well-being, and to call a play in a game that Shedeur could win to Shedeur's skill set and not to Dillon's, or to set him up to fail, I think it might get it done if people would just speak to that point rather than the fact that Dan Lanning and Stefanski have the same agent. Who cares? That's not illegal. But Bountygate setting Shedeur up to fail and get hurt is. Marcel Reed, Texas A&M QB. Upshaw, an old school player who works at NFL already. Oh, okay. Okay, I see. Thank you for Rise Academy for the clarity. It said the next tackle overrated. What happened? The next tackle overrated makes in the Texans playoff game will be his first. Oh, Lord. Tribe is mad about Myles Garrett. We don't do Myles Garrett slander around here at all, because I got 12 hoodies, but I might have a 95 pretty soon. Myles Garrett has courage, in my opinion, to stand up for Shedeur, so I'm not going to let them slander Myles Garrett like that. They mad because bullet point four, that's why they're mad. I agree with that. That's a smart take. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, y'all, we're going to get ready to get out of here. I went through all of the comments. 257 of us. Awesome. And 2 hours and 15 minutes. Cool. I dropped a new video on Patreon. Go check it out. I went live. It's alive. And I don't know. I had to upload it, so I don't know how it worked yet, but I'm figuring it out. So once a week, I'm over there trying to go live and post it in between, getting comfortable with Patreon. I like Patreon because it's basically like what she said too, TOO, in addition to what we talk about over here. It's more exclusive. It's things that we don't really talk about over here because, you got limitations is what you could say. And I might write my first article. When I write my first article, I will let y'all know where to go find it and to like it, because, you could like stuff on the internet. And that way we get the conversation from here out into the digital space. And that's what it needs to be, because they are weaponizing that space, right? They run to the digital media, not, digital media, print, whatever, old print. They run to that middle space. That's what I call it. Because you got old print media, which, a lot of people don't always read. And then you got social media. So you got in the middle digital media, where people used to have these blogs and these articles, and they have all these digital magazines. They weaponize that space to push the narratives about Shedeur and anybody else, Myles Garrett now and Shedeur, so that when you go to AI and you ask is Myles Garrett getting traded, it's going to say a bunch of articles going to pop up and say, well, so-and-so, they know what they're doing. So we gonna meet their match. So I'm not the only one that can write articles. Anybody can write articles on digital space and publish them out there. Just figure out how to do it. I got to figure it out myself. Because that's how they're winning, with drowning people out on social media by going to the digital space and manipulating AI. We can't let them do that. So shout out to us. I low-key hate that they're waiting on the NFL to be legendary. You have to make a historical mark. Hear me out. The MLB didn't become popular until Jackie Robinson, one black man, defining history. Oh, I totally agree. Hashtag create your own. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. I mean, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. And I said it, Destroying is this close to having his own league. But guess what I saw? I saw a post that asked, is this the end of one-on-ones? I was like, oh, Lord, no. You got to be kidding me. And the next post he had was the NFL flag football game in London. And then he posted about him playing golf, because I told you he got a Nike deal. I said, oh, my God, did they really distract him with a Nike golf deal so he can move off of football? I think maybe. I'm going to have to see what he posts next. I noticed fans were saying, bro, you're not posting like you used to. So I don't know if he signed some kind of contract with the NFL to be in their flag football game, but walking away from football for golf, and you got how many fans? And then you just played an NFL game and they asked you to be a mascot for a day in Jacksonville, but not to come kick the football for a day. What is that called, ladies and gentlemen? Buying out the competition. So he could go away from it. Remember I told my story about when you dating a person, whether you're a man or woman, you dating a person and somebody seemingly comes along and they're like, oh, I want to be cool with you. And you're like, oh, okay. And the next thing you know, they suggesting that you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And it's all so you can stop dating the person you're dating so they could get them. It remains to be seen if that's what has happened. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like that be what's happening. That might be, they might have got him. Zamari Smith, ruthless off the field. Yep. And that was our closest shot. Well, there's always the Sanders. Let's hope that Coach Prime Sanders Football League, they had showed Shiloh at Complex Con. Oh, no, Shiloh was somewhere routing up random people. I don't know if he was at Complex Con or if he was somewhere else, but he was on video routing up strangers. I'm like, just go and take it out there to a field and please stream it. So, Shiloh, if you ever see this, I'm waiting on your Complex Con footage to come out because it should be good. He ran in a sexy red and he was like, she didn't even know who I was. I was like, oh my God. So I want to see it. Shiloh, put it out there. And if they don't have no video from Complex Con, I'm going to be upset. And then I'll be checking in and circling back to see if he ever did his broadcast with Edward Waters for their homecoming, which is coming up this weekend. I'll keep y'all posted on that. All right, y'all. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank y'all for riding with me on What She Said Sports. Remember, go listen to Turf Wars by Damari Smith. If you have Spotify Premium, you can listen to it for free. Of course, feel free to go buy the book. And, we're going to check in to see what Shedeur got going on. But when he posted that somebody in downtown Cleveland had on DT96s, I said, oh, Shedeur must still be in Cleveland. So, he probably out there working out on his vacation time. And maybe this weekend we'll check in with Jimmy, check in with LeJontay, see what they got going on. I know BJ Green was playing for the Jaguars, see what he got going on. Check in with Travis, see what he got going on the field. And Zay Weaver and some of the other pro buffs. All right, y'all. So I shall see y'all tomorrow. This was awesome. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I'll be back tomorrow, 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I haven't decided if I'm going live for Arizona versus Buffs. I don't know if my heart could take it because it was brutal getting through that last game. It was so hard. So I haven't decided yet. But I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you all. And thank you for getting me to 1 million views on YouTube. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports, be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video.